many people moving to North Carolina for opportunity. Who is really benefiting from this growth? Is it the residents or outside investors and corporations?
Interesting.
That's a very nice question.
Hmm.
So I think it's a bit of both because
I
the
think it's
investors, yes, it's because the investors they have the opportunity to extract the proper labor, especially because the move to North Carolina is a bit different. It's not a factory move as it was for Florida in the after the housing crisis. So it's about like smart people, like people with skilled labor. I don't like to call it skilled labor, but unfortunately, to be technical, I have to call it like this. So it's a bit of individuals well qualified that want to move to a state that's giving more opportunities, same salary as others, but less fiscal pressure. There are less taxes, there are less needs in terms of rent, utilities, all those good things we talked about, the 50%. So yes, this is the way I could answer that. So
yeah. I mean, I think you said it well. Basically, it's both. I mean, the company pulling you, there's a reason they're pulling you, and it's probably because it's cheaper for them. So when it's cheaper for them, that means they make more profit. And in your perspective as a resident there, I mean, new opportunities. So I think it's a bit of like both of them are winning. We're not gonna say who's winning more, but yeah, both are winning.
Yeah, the way that I
But
see
what I would say on that question, real quick, is that and when moving to a new area like this, the residents usually don't always benefit because what tends to happen is that with new people, with immigrants coming in into area, if there's not new houses built, the price of housing will go up, rent will be going up, and to counterbalance that, you can say, so the big corporation will just make sure that there's enough housings available. So that is a good point. But the problem with that, with new houses being built, it's new material, new furniture and everything. These houses don't tend to go for cheap, so it would be more expensive than normal housing. So I like the way you guys answered that question. Is like, yeah, both can definitely benefit. I agree. I think both resident and corporation can benefit. I think that's probably what's going on right now in North Carolina. That's why there's this mass influx of people moving there. But I want us to also be conscious that with a lot of people moving there, the initial resident, the true North Carolina people, they're probably gonna get impacted by seeing their houses being more expensive than usual. I mean, someone from New York is moving to North Carolina, they'll find the rent cheaper than New York. But that same guy from North Carolina living will find his rent going up, although it's cheaper than the rent that it's for New York. So everyone moving from New York will find it cheaper. So maybe the residents are not entirely winning, but I'm pretty sure there are benefits because they'll have that's more jobs that are gonna be creating in this area. So I believe it balances itself in the long run, maybe.
Ceteris
I
uh
mean,
before
there's
so the way that I one aspect of it as well, if we're talking about there's also an increase in value because if I were just renting, not owning anything in that state, I might not benefit as much. But if I've lived there and I own, could be businesses, could be houses, or anything that I actually own over there, their value is going to increase. For someone who bought a land or anywhere in North Carolina a couple years ago or a decade ago, and now those places or whatever that asset was, its value is going, it's definitely increasing at a pace that maybe that person was not even anticipating. So I think it varies. It depends of who you are and what type of assets you had over there, or if you had any assets. But I think if you were holding any asset in that area, it's definitely an increase in value and a win for you.
before we finish that, because I wanted to add also, because we had the same situation during the pandemic with the what we call the tech boys, because most of them moved in South Florida. So because before, let's say we take Brickell district. So okay, the price of the rent was before that move, it was very cheap. However, as supply and demand works, so it got so expensive that no one could have been able to afford Brickell for that same penthouse view. And then to be honest, because it if I'm not mistaken, I think in 2020, I was there also. Couple of one bedroom was about 2200, which is relatively cheap for that same view, that same let's say by the sea, by the water. In New York, it would have been 4500, 5000. So, but the people living there were like, so okay, so all those people, they're gonna come there, they're gonna raise our rent, and then so boom, and then that's exactly what happened. So no one can afford South Florida anymore. Like no one. I mean, except if you have a lot of money, but no basic income earner can afford South Florida.
So if I can't afford Florida, I'm basic.
You cannot
Yeah.
afford it. So